Your decisions don't have to be dictated by anything other than you and your choices. And the sooner you can get them to align with the things that you say that you want, the sooner you'll have a life outside of the office that you truly want. So where in your life are you doing things that everyone else is doing? Hey everyone, I'm Brian. I help executives inside of corporate America transform their personal life to become as successful as their professional careers have been. I'm an expert at this because I did it myself. I sat in your seat for 2 decades, and I'm not special. If I can do it, so can you. Welcome back to the show. This is episode number 209 of the Success Lift podcast. Like I said, I'm Brian. It's good to be back with you. I hope you had a fantastic Mother's Day. First of all, the amount of women who listen to this show is definitely growing because I get a lot of feedback from, much more feedback than I do from ladies than I ever have in the 3+ year history of the show. And so I appreciate all the women who listen to this. I have begun working with more and more women inside of corporate America as I'm working with companies and executive teams. Typically, my one-on-one client has usually been male, although I do work with females currently. And I also, when I think about this, I've done more nutrition reviews and had more one-on-one review type of conversations with women than I have with men because of my lovely and talented wife who runs a fertility consulting business. She helps women get pregnant who can't. Talk about purpose in your life. She's amazing. And I do the nutrition, habits, lifestyle, assistance and coaching for her clients. And so when they need a nutrition review, when they want to go through what it is they're doing on a habits basis, things like that, I help out. And so I'm cheap labor for my wife. So she's always had me do that. I'm getting a little too busy. So I'm gonna have to talk to her. I'm gonna have to charge her a little more, but we'll see if I can extract any payment out of her. Probably not. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say she's gonna say forget about it. And maybe there are ways for her to pay me in other ways, but that's not what this episode is about. While we're actually on the topic of my wife, I hope everyone, all the ladies out there who are mothers, I hope you had a phenomenal Mother's Day. I hope you were served yesterday. I hope you were appreciated, you were loved, because you truly are the goats. You're the goats of all of our families. I know certainly, my wife is the greatest woman, the greatest mother I know. My mom's not too far behind. She's not a distant second. And I wish my mom was still here. In fact, my mom was a big part of the reason why I'm sitting here talking to you right now. If you listen to last week's episode with my story, you'll know a little bit more about what I'm talking about. My mom was a big catalyst for me changing a lot of what I do. And oftentimes, I wish I could just have both. I could have all the change and I could still have my mom back. So happy Mother's Day to my mom. Happy Mother's Day to my wife, Tasha. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms who are listening to this. A quick message for the fellas, boys. Do you recall how intentful you were, spending time, communicating, showing appreciation yesterday? Do you recall the effort that you put into yesterday? I made some filet on toast with some blue cheese on top. Shout out to Bobby Van's bar. I miss that place. In Midtown Manhattan. I went out of my way to make my wife feel loved yesterday, more so than I usually do. Well, boys, what if we did that more often? We don't have to make every day Mother's Day, but what if you made every day Mother's Day in terms of the effort that you put into your relationship? If you're looking for what most men are looking for, that would be a good start, fellas, for you to treat each day a little bit more like Mother's Day. You might become a little bit more successful in some of the areas that you're looking to. All right, that is not what this topic this week is about. I want to talk about everybody doing it. I want to talk about everybody else influencing what you do on a daily basis. And recently, my wife's been away a bunch. I might have said that a few times. My wife's been traveling, grinding, hustling for her business. And I've been a stay-at-home dad. And I've sort of pat myself on the back when I'm a stay-at-home dad. My wife doesn't have to worry about much. My wife is definitely the primary caretaker of our kids. If they need something, if they need, like a little bit of love and support, and like they want to say something private, it's my wife all day long. But I'm fully capable of running our household. I'm fully capable of getting the kids to all of their obligations. I'm fully capable of making sure they're appropriately fed, that they get to bed, all of these things. I am a functioning dad and a functioning support system inside the house, as well as a provider, as well as a husband, as well as a partner. And I take a lot of pride in that, not because that's special, although that is special from the perspective of not everyone does it. I take pride in it because I never did it. I wasn't very good at it. My wife had a third child that she had to worry about when she left. And so I've been pretty proud of myself when my wife leaves. I kind of just take over. I mean, I get a few bits of information here and there, but I just take over. Now, I lean on my support system. I have a great support system here, but it's not like I do it myself, but everything's done. And so fellas, if you're doing just the making of the monies, depositing money in the bank, and then expecting everything else to be done for you, obviously get help where you need to, but I would suggest increasing your skill level in some of these areas. Again, it might help you. It might just help you get the thing that you truly desire. That is also not what I want to talk about today, but for a lot of you guys, this came up for me when I was with my daughter, and this is why it triggered in my head. We were hanging out one morning. I have a 9-year-old and a 14-year-old. To back up a little bit, again, told a little bit more of my story last week. By the way, if you haven't listened to the last 2 weeks and you're relatively new to me, I think it would be a great place for you to go and make sure that you do listen. I talk about my story last week, and then the week prior, the episode prior, episode 206, 207, I talk about the 4 things that you exhibit as a successful professional, that you already have, characteristics you already have, the things you've already been doing, that you can transfer into your personal life and become as elite, as successful, not as much of a mess, whatever your grade is, in your personal life outside the office. And that's exactly what I do, as I said to start this lovely podcast. The conversation I had with my daughter was interesting because I've noticed more recently she's been a little bit more attached to her devices. Now, I have a 9-year-old and a 14-year-old, and devices are just a fact of our lives. Now, I'm not one of those parents who are like, absolutely no devices. Kids have to get outside. Remember when we were kids, all we did was play. Parents love to do that shit. Remember the previous generation loves to tell us how hard they had it, right? Like I recall my dad, telling me that he walked uphill to school both ways in the snow and the wind. And I know that's like kind of a joke, and he was just joking, but like he went to the same middle school and grammar school I did. So I know where those were. Those were not uphill. Those were not that far. It only snowed a couple times a year in Bergen County, New Jersey. So I know that was a joke that a lot of older people tell you, type of thing. But like that was the message delivery to us as kids, if you remember that, how hard our parents had it. And they did. They probably did have it harder, because as we progress, isn't that the goal for us, to make it easier and easier on our kids? Don't we go to the office every day? If I asked you, why do you do what you do? You'd be like, well, I want to set my family up. I want to have, I want to have generational wealth. I want to, give my family things that I didn't have. I want to do all those things too. But we want to tell everyone along the way how much harder it was for us to do it. I think that's just human nature. And so parents, if you find yourself saying things like, when we were kids, all we did was play outside. Yeah, well, you didn't have the technology that these kids have. And let's not kid ourselves. If I was playing the games that my son is playing on his phone or on Xbox or whatever, my ass would be inside too. And so would yours. All right. NBA Jam was pretty cool. Tecmo Bowl was pretty cool. But have you watched 2K lately? Have you watched a game of Madden lately? Like, it's insane. So let's just chill, because we would all have been inside, most likely, most of the time. All right. And so screens are a fact of our lives. And so we manage it just like any other family does. we have boundaries and rules around it, and our kids constantly push those boundaries, and they attempt to go as far across the line as they can without getting in trouble. And we find ourselves, in seasons of like, how the hell did this just happen? You are now on your iPad on Tuesday night for school, and you never were. We're now watching TV until 8:45, 9 p.m. on a Monday night before school. How the hell did this happen? Things like that. Well, I mean, I woke up and it's 7:15 in the morning, and you're on your iPad on a Saturday morning. Like, we have boundaries around when you're supposed to go on. So this happens for all of us too. And so when I was home with my daughter, she just naturally gets a little bit more screen time than normal. Now, I'm a little bit more strict with like some of the nighttime routines that we have, but when I have to go do something, bring Hudson somewhere, go run to the grocery store, do something, sometimes it's easier. Be like, come on, come with me. I know you don't want to go. I know you don't want to go pick him up from practice right now, but no one else is here. So I got to take you with me because you're 9, and just come in the car, grab your iPad, and we'll go for a ride. All right. So it's like things like that pop up. And so one morning before school, it was before school. It was like a weekday morning, right? She woke up early. She sleeps in our bed when I leave or my wife leaves, all right? And so she wakes up early, and her friends like love to text each other on the iPad too. So right now she's just iPad. She doesn't have a phone. My son has a phone. He doesn't really use his iPad anymore. It's phone and video games, computer and Xbox. For her, the iPad's a big deal because some of her friends have phones already. They're on text threads. If you've ever seen young kids text threads, like from 12, 14, even now my son too, I think. I don't really look at his phone much anymore. It's like they get 57 messages in 14 seconds. If they have the like alert notification on, you just hear ding, 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 ding. I'm like, please turn it off. And why do you need to text one word at a time, or 4 words in a sentence at a time? By the way, if you're an adult and you text that way, some of you know who you are who are listening to this, because I've told you, stop texting me like a teenager. Just state your business in a text message with sentences and space it appropriately. You don't need to send me 5 texts. You don't need to send me hey and then hit enter. All right? Or yo and then hit enter. It's like you're trying to trap me into a conversation right now? Are you trying to make sure, like, if you wanted my attention, just call me. If you want my attention in a period of time, call me. The text message is for me to get back to you when it's convenient for me. So that's the whole point of the text message. So when you just text message me like, hey, and then you wait for me to respond, and I respond, yo, like, I'm not responding right away again. I might go on to do something else. What if you started to do something else? Now we're in a phone conversation over text that's going to take really, really long. State your damn business like an adult, space it properly, and wait for your response. Sorry, that was brewing for a long time inside, and it just came out. Young kids, they text line after line after line after line. So anyway, Mila wants to get up, and she wants to play on her iPad if she has time before school, if she gets ready early. So she said all the right things. Daddy, if I get up, I'm going to get up early. I'm going to get ready for school. I'm going to get all my clothes ready. I'm going to eat breakfast. I'm going to brush my teeth. If I do that, can I play on my iPad before school? And my head like almost started to explode off my shoulders. Like, I think my quick response was, in my head was, the fuck out of here. What the fuck, you nuts? But I probably paraphrased that and said something to the effect of, we don't play on the iPad before school. You know that. Like almost like, are you kidding me? You know that. You know that. And what she said to me was really interesting. Not from the perspective of like it was new words. Like, kids say this stuff all the time. She said, but Dad, everybody does it. Everybody does it. And at this point, I'm real good with the everybody does it. I used to have, here's the cool thing about me as a parent and the confidence I have in certain things that I ask my kids, my family to do. And maybe you don't have it yet because maybe you haven't developed the credibility yet, but you can real quick. And I'm telling you, it's much better than any logical answer that you could give in the moment. And so here's what I say now when things like this come up, like everybody's doing this, everybody's doing that, all kids get to do this. I don't know if I wasn't wearing a shirt yet because it was early in the morning and I was changing, or I had like a cutoff shirt on or something, but whatever I had appropriately allowed me to show the quality of my bicep, which I'm flexing right now. If you're on audio, you're missing out. Go check us out on YouTube. But I might even have given her a double flex. All right. I might even have given her a double flex. And I smiled big so she could see my teeth. And I flexed my arms real hard. And I said, we're not like everybody else, girl. And to that, she smirked because it's not the first time she's heard it. And she walked out of the room and went on with her business because she knew that that was the line in the sand for me, for us, for our standard as a family. Now, does that standard get bent here and there? Yeah, it does. It does. But that's a good one for me with my children because they know that I expect more of them. And so, despite her rolling her eyes, she went right on with her day, with her morning, and the conversation was over. And so the message here is not about my daughter and screen time and your kids and have your kids, not go on screens before school. The message is so many of you are going through life doing what other people are doing. You're being like everyone else. And I would like you to ask yourself and consider and think about why. Why? Especially the way the world is today. Like how often do we see people make fun of the world? How fucked up the world is. You like to sort of defend your parenting over others, over society. Yet, in so many ways, you're just doing what everyone else is. As a busy professional, as an executive inside of corporate America, you accept the cost of doing business in your career. You believe that means it's a mediocre body or vices that you have to go out and drink. You have to gamble. You have to do drugs. It's what people do. You do them all professionally, like I did. None of them cost you a day at work. You don't ever not show up. But you can't not do them because it's kind of what you've always done. It's the life that you've built. Your marriage doesn't have to be what it was when you first met your significant other. Your life has to be crazy and busy. You believe work is supposed to consume you. Like how many times I had 3 conversations yesterday with people. The first thing they told me were how busy they were. Do you really want to live your life busy? I'm busy. I don't, it's not what I tell people. First of all, no one cares. So when you go through your schedule, how crazy life is, when someone's looking to catch up, they're not listening. They do not care. And that's the most interesting thing about what's going on in your life right now. You're busy. It's crazy. So you believe that work's supposed to consume you and dictate the decisions that you make outside of the office. Remember, I've talked about event plus response equals outcome. So many of the events inside of the lives of the people that I work with in corporate America are not in their control. Oftentimes, they're decision makers. Most of the times, the events that get dropped on their desk are not because of their doing. Full responsibility, maybe down the chain. Yeah, of course, it's their doing, but like in the moment. And they're tasked with fixing it. You had 4 problems last week that popped up that weren't your doing, but they're in your lap now. They're on your plate. and that event is not within your control. So what do? You respond based on the way the event has made you feel. We are constantly responding to things based on our feelings. That's what everybody else does. So it's no big deal that you do it too, right? Your decisions don't have to be dictated by anything other than you and your choices. And the sooner you can get them to align with the things that you say that you want, the sooner you'll have a life outside of the office that you truly want. So where in your life are you doing things that everyone else is doing? I showed up to a baseball game with, it's a team that my son plays on inside of our community. So the families have all known each other for years now because we've been sitting at baseball games, every weekend for years with each other. And it was at our local high school. And so it was like, there's like stands right behind the home plate. And I show up and there's like, I don't know, 20 people in the stands, 15 dads or so, and all some of my closest friends in town. And it was just like, they all just started laughing because they knew there was no freaking way that I was going to sit there. So I individually said hello to every single one of them, shook their hand, shot the shit for 30 seconds. And I was like, all right, boys, see you in a few. And off I went, pacing around. Because why would I sit? Why would I sit for 2 hours? It doesn't make me better than them. It's just like, why would I sit? And the thing is a lot of you don't want to sit, in air quotes. A lot of you don't want to sit. But when you show up to the game and 15 of your friends are sitting, what do? You sit. That is as metaphorical and literal as I can make it. Because sometimes it is at the game. Sometimes they're all at the bar. Sometimes they're all ordering the same thing. Sometimes they're all having the same conversation about their nagging wives. Sometimes they're doing the same things at the office. And you go and do it with them. Because you don't want to be different. Why? Why don't you want to be like yourself? Why don't you want to be like someone who stands out? When you have built the evidence that you are someone different, you can say things to your kids like, we're not like everyone else. When you're, drinking on the couch every weekend, when you're sitting around not doing things active, and your kids say, why can't I go on my screens? And then you give them some ridiculous response about it not being healthy and it being addictive and this and that, while you're sitting there consuming your addictions and your vices, gambling on a game, drinking while watching TV, constantly scrolling on your phone, not giving them your attention when they ask for it because you're just doing something on your phone. And then we try to tell them that their screens are addictive, that they can't play for some reason, for a logical reason. Fucking, do you think they care? You think they're listening to us? If you said, because we're not like everyone else, and you didn't look different or act different, they'd believe you. You got some credibility with them, though. You say something like that, conversation moves on to the next topic. And so I would ask you to consider, where in your life are you acting just like everyone else? Where are you being just like anyone else? And do you want to be a little different? What are you doing because everybody else is doing it? I'm rooting for you to smash the heck out of that belief. Have a great week. See you back here next one.